So you haven't seen all the behind the scenes stuff that's been going on. This feels good to finally have a log on the mill. Yeah, it's good to finally start milling and start getting some timbers going so I can start building. Okay, beam number 1 completed. So I've got a 10-foot, 2-inch, 6.5, 6.25 by 6.25 box heart red pine log. That's ready for a beam, and I went 6.25 by 6.25 because there is shrinkage when it dries. And I was aiming for 6x6s, so it'll be at least a 6x6, maybe a little bigger. I also got 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of 1/2 inch thick by 7, 6.5, 6.75, 6.5. So let's say 1/2 by 6 inch once you mill it down to the side beams. No, 6.5. 1/2 inch boards for paneling. Yeah, so that's 1 down and 23 more to go for the beams, and then another 5 for the posts, the short little posts. So almost another 30, 29, 28. Yeah, that's my math. Another 28 to go. Okay, so that was day 1 of milling the red pines into timbers. So it was only a partial day. So I got, I think, 5 beams, I guess. Sill plates, sill beams. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 one buys. It looks like it's going to be a really hot day today. I'm trying to get to a early start, but you know, life gets in the way. And so now I'm going to get started and see how many I can get through. If I can put in a full day today, we'll see. I don't know how things are going to go with the weather and everything, but fingers crossed I can get a full day in and maybe get through the rest of these logs. That would be awesome. So I cocked that up a little bit. Before I made the first cut, that would be this cut over here. Before I flipped it, I made sure that the pith was at the same height at both ends of the log before I cut, so that I'm cutting as close to parallel to the center as I can. And then when I flipped it, I forgot to make those measurements again to do this cut. So you can see the thickness of that is, you know, 2 3/4 inches. It's about a 1/2 inch at the other end of the log. Right now, since I'm doing 6x6s, I can get a good 6x6 that for your box tartwood. It'll be fairly centered on the cant. But ideally, the center would have been there, right? Because that's basically the center of the pith, center of the log. So I'm only off by about 1/2 inch or so. Unfortunately, the approach I take to sawmilling is trying to get as much usable material out of each log as I can. This is a theme that runs through a lot of my my videos on the subject of milling. So in this piece here, I could have gotten, you know, 3 or 4, maybe 5 usable boards out of that piece that I'm now just tossing into the firewood pile. Ow! My helmet on. You might notice once I get the 2 squared sides, I stop using the dog clamp. At this point, these logs are heavy enough. The weight of the log itself seems to be enough to keep it from moving, and it speeds things up a little bit for me. I'm not recommending this. I'm not recommending. I'm just pointing it out for anybody who might have noticed or anybody who didn't notice. This isn't the recommended way of doing things by not locking it in place. And in fact, there was one occasion where I did have it locked in place, but not locked in well enough, and the log did move, and it threw the whole power head off of the track. It didn't fall because the blade was stuck in the log, but in that case I was working with a round, so it was able to roll when the clamp came off. It bent the blade, the power head came, like I said, it was off the rail, so I had to get the tractor and put it back on, and it's not something that I ever want to have to do again. Tell you, it is way more gratifying and satisfying to cut with a sharp, rough blade. So here's a quick tip for you. Get to know your saw, get to know your equipment. It'll speed things up for you. So I have learned that 1, 2 full rotations gives me a 1/2 inch board. 3 gives me 7/8. And 4 gives me 4/4, or 1 1/4 inches roughly, thickness of a board. It just really speeds up the milling process for me. If I need more precision than that, then of course I've got to go back to the gauges and to the tape measures and other measuring sticks. To maintain consistency in the size of the 6x6s, I do have my scale set to 6 1/4 inches from the deck. Now there I can be sure that, you know, within the 1/16 or 1/8 of an inch, I've got consistency in my 6x6s. Tell you, after this log, there's not going to be any more talking. There's just going to be results that I'm going to show. So the problem that I've got to figure out here now is that if you look at this end of the log, you see how the heartwood is, you know, right over to the side. So that's from that first cut that I talked about, or the second cut. There was the first cut on this side, which I didn't center the pith. So I've got all of this lumber over here that I could take off and end up with my 6x6, right? That wouldn't be so bad. But when we come back down to the other end, and take a look at it, well, look at that. The pith, because of that error on this side, when I did this side, it followed the same line. So really what you've got is, instead of the heartwood going straight down the middle, or as close to straight down the middle as I can get, it's doing this, right? So this is exaggerated, but it's sort of going on that angle. So it's going from this side to that side. So as a post, I wouldn't use this as a post. These are just sill beams, so I'm not that concerned about it. So I'm just going to take a big chunk off of one side. It'll probably be this side, or maybe I'll take a small, I don't know exactly how I'm going to fix this yet, but yeah, I wouldn't use this as a post just because the force is going straight down through the post. But if the center of the wood is this way, well, then the structural strength of it is jeopardized. Only word I can think of right now, because the force is straight up and down of the building with gravity and everything. So if I go like this, well, now that creates a weakness in the actual grain structure of the log. Okay, well, that's a day's milling. I have to look at the footage to see how many I got done today. I think I had 5, so that would be 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 logs that I did today. And even though it was a full day that I put into it, it's just crazy hot here today, and I took a lot of breaks. A lot of water breaks, a lot of cooling off, you know, cold showers and laying in front of a fan to cool off. I think something like 37 degrees they were saying. That's Celsius. Fahrenheit, I don't know what that is. It's over, I don't know, pushing 100, I guess. I don't know. I'll look it up and I'll put it in. But yeah, so I think that'll be it for this part of the log cabin build series. I won't be showing any more of the milling. I think you get the idea at this point. And so I'm just going to plug away at this until I've got everything I need. I'm going to have to go back up and do some more harvesting. Cut down some more trees to get them ready. So while I'm cutting those down, that'll give these ones here a little bit of time to cure, to start drying out a little bit. Get rid of some of the moisture before I start working them. But all in all, this is going pretty well. I'm happy with the progress, all things considered, and I think well, I'm having a good time. So total of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 beams, a good stack of 4/4 by various widths of boards for floor planks, I'm thinking. A stack of 1/2 inch paneling there, and then a great big stack of 1/2 inch paneling right there. And that's all the materials I got out of it. So if I had done it the way I've seen others do it, and the way some people recommend, 12 logs, 12 6x6s, I probably could have gotten a lot more milling done and had more 6x6s, but I wouldn't have had all these other pieces of lumber that I think are quite valuable and well worth the time that I put into it. Like I said, that's it for this part of the series, the milling of lumber. Hopefully you'll catch me later and check me out and follow me on this this journey. Well, I'm going inside. Well, actually, I'm going to go take a cold shower outside, and then I'm going to go inside and cool off. So you guys take care, and we'll see you later. Bye now.